Hi everyone, welcome to North Star Knife Reviews. Taking a look at another vintage knife today. This is an unbranded knife that I got in a lot of four. This knife was almost certainly made by Imperial. We'll talk about how I know that in a second. And was probably made sometime between 1942 and I'm thinking 45, although it could have been later than that. So let's take a quick look at this knife. It is a Stockman. It is about 3.5 inches long. You can see there is a shell construction, which means that you have these hollow pieces that include the bolsters and covers all in one, and then they are simply clamped on to the frame. You can see the little tabs here. This was a much cheaper way of producing knives, and it meant you could sell the knives more cheaply. You know, this knife would probably be one that you went into your hardware store back, the mid 40s, and there was probably a little cardboard display of these near the cash register, and they were, like 65 cents or something. And, if you could get this for 65 cents as opposed to some other knife for $1.25 and $1.50, if you were worried about your money, you might buy one of these. Now, as I said, this is almost certainly made by Imperial, and the reason I know that is because of these patent numbers. Take a look at them here. If you look at these patent numbers online, they were issued to the Imperial Knife Company. The top one was issued in 1939, and the bottom one was issued in 1942, which is how I know that this knife would be at least 1942 or later. Now, the research that I've been able to do indicates that there was at least one, maybe two more patents issued, and these patents are for the shell knife and improvements to the handle on the shell knife. I believe there was another patent issued in about 45, and then I think there was also another one in 49 to 50. So my thought is this might be before 45, since it doesn't have that later patent on it, but it does have the 42 patent. But that may be incorrect. All right, but I do know this is at least 42 because that's when that second patent was issued. And as I said, it was issued to the Imperial Knife Company. Now, Imperial started in 1916. Felix and Michael Morando were immigrants from Italy. They started the Imperial, or actually I believe it started out as Empire Knife and then became Imperial. And by 1940, Imperial was actually the largest producer of pocket knives in the world. And a lot of that was due to their inexpensive construction. They came up with this shell handle in the mid-30s, filed for the patent in either late 37 or 38, and it reduced the price of the knives. And this is a country that is in the end of the Great Depression, just coming out of it in the mid to late 30s, and so money's tight, and this makes a very attractive knife if it's substantially cheaper than others. Imperial produced a lot of knives for the military during World War II, along with Schrade. They began to work with them. In 1947, Schrade and Imperial combined forces. I believe Imperial bought Schrade, and they became the Imperial Schrade Corporation. But this is, an unbranded knife. It doesn't say Imperial on it, but it was made by Imperial. Why it was unbranded, I don't know. Maybe that made it less expensive. I can't tell you that for sure. But again, three blades on this Stockman. The main clip point is about 2.5 inches long. Cutting edge about 2.25 inches. You can see it's got a long pull. Swedge. The swedge is only on one side of the blade. Again, probably makes it cheaper. Then you have two secondary blades. You have the spay blade. Okay, no tang stamps on that. The spay blade is just under 2 inches with a cutting edge in the vicinity of 1.75 inches. And then the final blade on this, not a sheep's foot, it's a pen blade. Okay. And again, you here have about 1 3/4 inches with a cutting edge of about 1.5 inches. And this little nail neck on there. And this is the blade, the only blade that has a tang stamp, and it has those patent numbers. The wrap on here is a cracked ice celluloid wrap. It goes around the shell and then is glued on the inside. You see there's a serpentine frame. Actually not a bad little knife. Does have just a tiny bit of blade play. Blade play is really not uncommon on these shell knives because they just don't have the strength of the non-shell knives. But this doesn't look like it ever really been carried much. You can hear it's got still a nice snap, and that is on all of the blades. So, I got 4 knives for $20, including tax and shipping, so $5 a piece. These are not knives that are ever going to be worth a ton of money. But that's not why I collect knives. I love, just having this and thinking about the history. And, somebody probably during or right after World War II bought this. You kind of wonder what this knife has seen in its life. Even though it wasn't used much, who bought it? Did they just stick it in a drawer? What happened to it? That's part of the fun, for me at least, of collecting knives. I am probably going to clean this up a bit more, sharpen it. I'm thinking I might carry this, just as a little vintage pocket carry. It's not like it's, an expensive knife. So if something happens to it, it's unfortunate because it's old, but, I'm not out a lot of money. So hope you found this look at this knife interesting. Have a good day. Please subscribe, and I will catch you next time.